everyone. My name is Sela. I'm a junior in high school and co-chair for the Springboarders interview committee. I'm here today with Shannon Spotswood, president of RFG Advisory. Shannon, thank you so much for being with us today. We are so excited to have you.
Sela, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Tell me about your first job. Tell me how you got started.
So I knew at a very young age I wanted to work on Wall Street, that I wanted to be in San Francisco, that I wanted to work at a hedge fund. I wanted to manage a hedge fund. And, one of the very first rules is when you're looking for a job, you go out, you interview as much as possible, and you try and get as many offers as possible. Actually, I was hired as the executive assistant to the CEO and founder of what at the time was a small hedge fund in San Francisco. And I'll tell you, on the surface, that was a little bit of the title itself and the job itself was a little bit of an ego blow, right? I didn't want to be the executive assistant to the CEO. I wanted to be a portfolio manager. My job as the executive assistant to the CEO and founder required about maybe 2 to 3 hours of work a day. I could get that job done in about 2 to 3 hours of work a day. And then I just looked around, was like, what do I want to learn? Basically made myself the assistant to our portfolio trader. I did absolutely everything he didn't want to do, whatever it was, in exchange for getting to sit kind of by his shoulder on the trading desk, learning how to trade. And then in the afternoon, I made myself an indisposable resource to one of the portfolio managers who happened to be a woman and was really my first mentor and just a gift, truly a gift in my career. So I made myself really valuable to the two people who had the jobs that I was really seeking. And in turn, they were grateful for having an additional resource to offload, all the extra work that was on their plate. We might not be able to get the job we want immediately out of college or as we're moving up the ranks. But if we position ourselves in an opportunity strike zone where we know we'll have the ability to kind of develop our skill set and really shine, it can set you on that path. Once I was in that investment banking program, that launched my professional life. I now was validated. I now had validation of what I was capable of doing. And every position from that was just the next kind of stepping stone, the next upgrade, the next promotion, from turning that I'm an executive assistant to where I sit today, being so unbelievably fortunate to be the president of RFG Advisory.
So, it's hard in any career. You have rough patches. So what is one thing you remind yourself of when the going gets tough?
For me, I have had, I've had it in different forms throughout my life, which is I am, I can, I will, I do. And in those rough patches where you're kicked to the curb, where your confidence is shaken, where you just, you kind of just want to crawl into bed and I just can't do it another day. For me, it is, I am, I can, I will, I do. And then I usually couple that with some form of exercise. So when I'm in those really, those rough patches, I will revert back to one, what are my goals? What is my purpose, right? You can't just be driven by motivation. The only way I'm getting out of this is my mantra and getting my heart rate up and getting the blood pumping and really kind of just pushing through that. And the thing is, it might not be a day, right? It might be a week, it might be a month, it might be a season. But it's like, if you keep doing that work where you're like, these are my goals, this is my mantra, and this is what I know helps me get out, helps me climb out, you will survive and you will ultimately thrive.
So what did you study to prepare for finance, and what degrees do you hold?
I have a Bachelor of Arts in both political science and economics. I was, studied really hard. I went to a school where they offered a lot of AP classes. So I actually entered college with enough credits to be a second semester sophomore, which allowed me to earn two degrees in 4 years. So that, if you love all those AP subjects that are offered, like, my advice to all of you is take those classes, get those credits, give yourself that much of a jump on college. It makes a big difference. It really opens up the opportunity to study a lot more. I knew I wanted to work in business, so I knew I had to get an economics degree, a business economics degree. And in my field, the next most obvious degree to get would be to get an MBA. And so I did not get my MBA. And the reason for that is because I was given the opportunity after I left investment banking and I was hired at the hedge fund. I really was given the opportunity to do the job that I would have gone to get my MBA to do. So I chose not to go down that path. I really have had the education on the ground as opposed to in the classroom.
What advice would you give to young women moving into the workforce? What would you want them to keep in mind when facing challenges in terms of their careers and aspirations? So
the best advice I can give is to be optimistic, be positive. It is truly about showing up, and your optimism can become your greatest weapon. I mean, there's so much negativity and there's so much fear, and there's such a kind of instinctual habit to complain and to see what is bad about a situation. And I think changing that mindset to just being like, not just positive, not just optimistic, like ruthless about that positivity. I actually pulled a quote for you today, and it's by an author whose name is John Gordon. And he is the author of a book on, surprise, surprise, being a positive leader or building a positive team. And he says, and I love this, he says, obstacles are meant to be overcome. Fear is meant to be conquered. Success is meant to be achieved. They're all part of the game of life. And the people who succeed play to win. And they never give up until the game is over. Be the one who's willing to get it done. Like, see a problem, solve it. Like, figure it out. Jump into the deep end of the pool. Yeah, you're not going to know it all. You're not. You're going to be like, I don't know how to do this. Jump in. That's the only way you're going to learn how to do it.
Do you think there is an uneven balance of women and men in the workforce in your field?
Absolutely, 1000% yes. We are one of the most imbalanced industries. There's only one factor that determines high-performing team, and that's diversity. And ours is an industry that tends to be like, no, you gotta walk like me, talk like me, and have all the credentials like me. So I think one of the things that our industry is really becoming more intentional about is recognizing that there's a lot of talent that we can bring into our industry, and it's going to be more diverse. As women, we bring such a unique perspective and skill set to the table that being afraid to lean into this industry because it's mostly male, or has traditionally been mostly male dominated, shouldn't scare you off of it. And there really just is, there's no reason to be afraid of being the only woman at the table. And I'll tell you, I have been in that role and are in that role today often. Often I'll be the only woman in the room at the table, but I have never felt that I shouldn't be there. And I have never wished, of course I wish like more women are coming in. And I think that gradually we're encouraging women to look at our industry, but it shouldn't discourage you at all. There's so many different career paths that you can go into. Becoming a financial advisor is one of the best paths a woman can look to. It allows you a lot of flexibility. It allows you to make a very good living. You're ultimately helping people, but there's roles in marketing and finance. There's roles in operations. There's roles in compliance. There's roles in the legal side of our industry. So just really thinking about, like, being in finance doesn't mean you're a banker. I think that the number one takeaway on that is this is not just an industry for people who love math and are good at math. You really can have a lot of different avenues, and they don't all have to be like, I have to love math to go down this road.
Well, you've already given so much great advice throughout this interview, but what is one piece of advice you have received to convey to the girls who will be watching this?
I've been so lucky. I've had great mentors. I have great partners that really have taught me so much. I think that some of the best advice that I've been given as I really reflect back on it is to not be afraid. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Truly, like, just do it. Just jump into that deep end of the pool. Like, follow your heart. Like, just don't be afraid. Don't be limited by the what if of failure. So I think that really is, I think as I look back on my 15, 16, 17-year-old self, it is just like, have that courage within. Don't be afraid.
Well, thank you so, so much for speaking with me today, Shannon. This was such a rewarding experience, and I'm sure all of our viewers will think the same thing.
I loved it, Sela. You did a great job, and I love your dream catcher behind your head.
Well, thank you. Well, be sure to check out RFG's website to learn even more about Shannon, and check out our website as well for resources on careers as well as women in the workplace. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.